Welcome, everyone, to CDO Magazine's series of one-on-one interviews with CDOs, data leaders, and key influencers. I'm your host, Robert Ludden, Vice President, Sandhill Consultants, and I'm coming to you today from Toronto, Canada, working with the CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ Symposium, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Chris Lynch, who is the Executive Chairman and CEO with AtScale. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and I understand it's a very early start with you today, having just got in at 4 a.m. So we appreciate your time with us today. If I may, just jumping right into this, I'd like to get the audience a little bit familiar with you and your background. It looks like you've been in the industry for a while. Can I ask, what got you into the data industry?
Sure. So I've been in the tech business in general for over 35 years. And I'd say the last 20 deeply in data, first with the web, with a company called ArrowPoint, and then with data access, file access primarily in a company called Acopia. And I'd say that in the world of big data, I really get in with both feet with a company called Vertica, where I was the CEO. Ultimately, we sold that company to HP back in 2011. And then I joined a venture firm, and I did 3 venture funds, investing exclusively in new data concepts and the application of new data concepts into cybersecurity. So data and cyber has been my sole focus, since around 2010.
And Chris, this is great to have a man of your caliber bringing your knowledge and experience into the field. If I can ask, what did you like most about your field?
So from my perspective, when I got involved in data, one of the things that I recognized was with the advent of the web, the impact it could have on not just business, but society in general. So it was really exciting times back in the late 90s. And I feel like it's, as Yogi Berra would say, deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
And looking at what's happening with AI and ML, all of the conditions for another revolution in technology are set here, and we're all part of it in 2021. And it's just super exciting. I can't imagine doing anything else.
A sentiment I'm sure a lot of people feel similar when they watch this. Now, as CEO and executive chairman of AtScale, can you tell us a little bit about AtScale's business and how, I was on your website and I was reading about the semantic layer and how it can help a business improve and set them apart from the competition?
At its highest level, the way to think about a semantic layer is it separates the physical structure of data, which constrains people's ability to absorb the data and leverage it for actionable insight. And it creates one logical view versus a physical view, which has all the constraints. A logical virtual view allows you to take one view of the data. I like to say that enterprises have a lot of data. Very few have.
That's an understatement, Chris. Yeah, that's an understatement for sure. Yeah.
But having the data without having access to it, it's really not relevant, and it's expensive to protect and store. And if you're not mining that data for new actionable insights, then you're actually not leveraging all your competitive advantage. So the exciting thing for me is to see companies leverage this logical view of their data without having to move it and be able to then access that in new and different ways, as opposed to the traditional methodologies where people had these islands of data and analytics that typically were demarked by functional areas in a company, but not harnessing all that data. And that's what AtScale sets out to do, create one logical view of the data, and then we can do very interesting things with that in analyzing it. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about AI and ML and how this semantic layer is the bridge between AI and BI. And we believe going beyond citizen data scientists, we can make every BI analyst, we can power them with data analytics that are driven by artificial intelligence and machine learning.
I certainly look forward to that discussion a little bit later on, and I love the citizen data analytics that you mentioned. You also just mentioned clients, and I know that you've worked with some large clients recently in the past. Is there any way that you can share with us some of the key clients that AtSkill has actually worked with?
Certainly. I probably shouldn't, and I'll get in trouble, but I get in trouble all the time. So, as I mentioned to you, I was in Wall Street yesterday. So we're working with companies like Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan and Wells Fargo and Visa and Home Depot, but I can't tell you about any of those companies. So I won't, because I'll get in trouble.
Uh, Chris, I've got a feeling trouble is your middle name, but certainly not asking you to give away any trade secrets and things like that. But it's good to know that AtSkill is actually working with some large customers. Now, you talk about your love of data. Can I ask you, in what role do you see data playing in the future of the success of the enterprise?
From my perspective, I think over the course of the next 3 years, public companies' stock will be shorted if they don't have an AI strategy. I think that if you look at the companies that invoke the influence pyramid in every industry, the leaders, many of I mentioned briefly a second ago, these companies recognize they have to be in the forefront of technology. And I think everybody recognizes that data is really the great equalizer in terms of democratization of data and analytics. And for enterprises, and I would say enterprises, consumer companies, excuse me, any sort of industry, leveraging and harnessing data to be able to predict the future is going to be critical to their success, and I'd argue their survival. So I don't think entering the world of big data, AI, ML, advanced analytics is something that people are looking at as a potential opportunity. I think it's a major threat if companies don't get their arms around their data today.